crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadtoroad.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Some big moments for silver coming up. Those of you in the know, the silver conspiracy, know that silver is massively undervalued right now. If you don't have any silver, go to your local coin shop today. Go there today. Say, hey, give me all you got. Load the truck up. Let me show you what's going to trigger the next move up. This is the 1-year chart for silver, and as you can see, we have a crossover of the 50-day and the 100-day moving average right here, which is about $23.50. When it blows through that, it's blowing through two moving averages, which for all those tech traders, they love that. And then the only resistance above that is the 200-day moving average, which is below $25. Once it hits $25, all bets are off. Jeffrey Christian came out and said, oh, silver's going to go down. He's not dumb. He's criminal. He gets paid. His biggest clients are JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, HSBC, Deutsche Bank. The guy's a criminal. I'm not a fan of the hairless wonder. Anyway, no, I don't feel bad when I call him that. He's called me a lot worse, and my friends at GATA. History will not shine a bright light on Jeffrey Christian. Do I pray for his soul? Sure, why not? You know, if we're going to pray for forgiveness for everybody who's done us wrong, Jeffrey Christian should be in your prayers, unfortunately. But hey, yeah, he came out with his prediction on Kitco. But remember, Kitco's just as criminal. Kitco's theoretical pooled accounts are ridiculous and always have been. People say, oh, what's wrong with Kitco, Bix? I go, there's a lot wrong with Kitco. When there's silver shortages, there's people sitting out there with naked shorts. Kitco is literally in bed with them, in bed with the criminals, shorting. So just keep that in mind. But that's where you can find the interview, so go check it out. And check out their pooled accounts. Yes, you can buy silver so cheap. And it's in the pool. Don't worry about it. Our pool is intermingled with the Royal Bank of Canada. No problem. Don't look here. Look over there. So, yeah, watch for $23.50. It should run up quickly near 25, and then if it busts through that, we could have a good run. To who knows what. I mean, you know, silver's so massively undervalued, you should have it in your portfolio. If you don't have a local broker, send Andy Schechtman an email. Andy, A-N-D-Y, at milesfranklin.com. milesfranklin.com. If you're a Road to Ruta member and you've used Andy before, use them again. Now's a great time as we're hanging out below these moving averages. Because once it moves past that, we're going to jump, dollars, and then $5 at a time, $10 at a time at some point when the floodgates open. So don't waste any time. Do it today. But remember, it's still rigged. And you want to see what a rigged silver price looks like over the last 30 years. There it is. There's your rigged silver price. As you could tell, it was rigged all throughout the 90s, all the way up. And I got in like in 2000, and it was below $5. The guys like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs were saying, oh, silver will never go above $5. And then boom, it broke $5 at 10. And then 2011, a guy named Bill Daley joined Obama's original staff as a, what was he? He was the chief of staff. What do they call that thing? Anyway, Obama's right-hand man, Bill Daley, is actually Jamie Dimon's right-hand man, and that's when they brought the price of silver up to $50 and then slammed it down in 2011. And chief of staff, that's what he was. He was the chief of staff to Obama, came in January 2011, brought the price up to 50, got all the weak hands in, then slammed it and created an artificial bear market, which, as you can see right here, we are still in. Tried to break through it. when it approached 30, but JP Morgan and friends rigged the markets again. That is proven. CFTC data proves it. Jeffrey Christian can kiss my, yeah. There is no excuse for anybody saying today that JP Morgan doesn't rig the silver market or didn't rig the silver market. Now they just leased all their physical silver that they got on the cheap to Bank of America, and they're having problems now. So this chaos can be directly associated with guys like Jeffrey Christian, Jamie Dimon, Blythe Masters, Jeff Curry over at Goldman Sachs. These are the people who are going to screw up the future for everybody else. Silver should be freely traded. It shouldn't be sitting at 45% of its all-time high in 1980. How much money has been printed since 1980? And you can see from the one-year chart what they did to silver on literally the one-year chart. When you look at silver, in one of the highest inflation years on record in the past 20 years, silver went down from $26 down to whatever it is now, $23. How is that even possible, especially with the amount of money they are creating? It's only possible one way, and that's computer market rigging. And the CFTC is in on it. That's the problem. And the president's in on it. Donald Trump was in on it. Barack Obama's in on it. Everybody's in on it. So if you're a silver investor, you are getting cheap silver. And one day, free markets will come back to America and we can have freedom again. But it ain't today. Speaking of price action, we got a lot of price action. Cryptos, they haven't been allowed to go up. Yes, cryptos are rigged even more than silver. Not even more. I mean, silver's 100%, so how can you be more than 100% rigged? But there's banksters looking to make more profit, so they'll run it up higher and run it down lower, and then they'll fleece people at the tops and then fleece people at the bottoms. There is some very big money coming into the crypto space, so they're going to have a harder and harder time. They're probably all going to collude with the banks and the hedge funds, and everybody's going to collude together for the next slam. It apparently is not ready yet at 51. I would expect it to be closer to 100,000 per Bitcoin before they pull their next scam thrash job and create an artificial bear market in Bitcoin. But hey, this is where we are. My recommendations: Theta Fuel, Veritasium. If you can get your hands on some, you can go to Mercatox and get some. That's going to be bigger than Bitcoin, by the way. Absolutely, 100%. Read the Reggie patent. Read the 42-page patent, and you'll get an idea of just how big it is. Yes, the patent is it reads like a white paper, kind of, although it explains what the Veritasium software does and how it was invented long before all these DeFi. You could take the whole DeFi sector and throw it out the window unless they work with Reggie. Because they're using his technology. Same with Bitcoin Lightning Network, Ethereum, all of them. 99% of cryptos are going to have to work with the Reggie because he has the patent on it. And I know Gary Gensler is going to use that against cryptos probably in the next artificial slam. Probably they'll let it run to 80 to 100, then to come out, take down the Tether criminals. Hopefully they'll end up in jail. And then pull the Reggie Middleton and say, hey, Reggie Middleton has a patent on most of this stuff anyway. Then Veritasium scoots a hell of a lot higher as all the other cryptos kind of crash for a while. That's one plausible scenario, and that's why it's so good to have Veritasium in your pocket, just so it's kind of like having insurance. If Gary Gensler wants to crash the market, which he probably does so his cronies can get in, he can do it by saying, hey, no matter what the court rulings are for XRP, Veritasium has the patent on peer-to-peer transactions in the blockchain space. And XRP will have to go. XRP is probably one of the more obvious ones that uses Reggie's technologies. So that's where you have it. So if you don't have Veritasium, you're SOL in my opinion. I did want to talk about David Morgan posted a great interview with Ole Demigard, a racy interview for David, because a lot of stuff can't be talked about really. So I don't know if he wants to keep this up because he might get a strike for it. But while it is up, go check it out. The Morgan Report. I heard Ole Demagogue speak in Acapulco. Amazing stuff. He's an amazing guy, and yeah, the way he digs into stuff is extremely smart and thorough, and it's not a finance thing. It's a different kind of conspiracy. Go check that out. Really important. Now let's talk about my timeline. One of the triggers, the number one trigger of my timeline. If you guys have seen it, go to roadtoroota.com. On the private side, I have a timeline I put together, a timeline video, December 2021 to April 2022. It walks you through events that I think are going to happen. The number one thing that I already kind of has happened, but will get recognized and is extremely important, is the Evergrande official default. Now, Evergrande has defaulted on their last payments in November. They had a 30-day grace period. They didn't hit it. And those payments weren't all that big, and they still haven't paid it. So here we have what they were. November 6th, a $41 million payment, and another one on November 6th, a $40 million payment. Those have not been paid. That's $82 million that have not been paid. And keep that in mind. Tomorrow, December 28th, we've got a $204 million and a $50 million. Well, if they haven't paid the 80, they're not going to pay 250. And that's where it gets into the declaration of default. Now, Fitch has already said Evergrande has defaulted. They will not return calls on what they're going to do, blah, blah, blah. But here's the most important thing. China Evergrande says construction has resumed at vast majority of its projects. So let's think about this. China controls this whole game. They went to Evergrande and say, hey, don't pay off your creditors, continue to work on your projects, put all your money into the projects that you're working on for the Chinese people, only the projects within the boundary of China will get any money. That is completely opposite of what a bankruptcy restructure would do, which would shut down everything and liquidate everything and give everything to the creditors. Evergrande's not going to do that. They're not going to declare bankruptcy. It's up to the rating agencies, Fitch, Moody's, all the big rating agencies, to declare it bankrupt. But here's the issue. And only really corporations really are going to have this problem. They are required in a bankruptcy situation to write off that investment to a reasonable extent when it is declared bankrupt. They don't want it. The creditors don't want it to be bankrupt before the end of the year because they're going to have to claim it as losses for this year in their filings with the SEC. This is a big deal. So if tomorrow it is said, the financial media will say it was paid. That's what they always do. They told us it was paid in November, but it wasn't. It didn't come out till weeks later. You're like, oh, maybe it hasn't been paid. There's no confirmation because neither the Evergrande or China or the creditors want it to be declared in bankruptcy because that changes everything. And then China is ultimately going to come in and doesn't give a shit about under what law Evergrande is operating. Evergrande is domiciled in like the Cayman Islands or something like that. So it's a different law, but China doesn't give a shit. China says, you fix and finish the projects within China, everybody else can screw themselves. And that's exactly what they're doing. So the reality is, here's the reality. They've got 82 million already in default. That was due on November 6th. They had 30 days lead time, so it is way past due. They have another 255 million due tomorrow that they will miss. They will not even, the financial newspapers can say all they want that it was paid, but it won't be paid because they haven't even paid off the 80. And that's not the plan. The plan is, after this happens, you're going to see, after they don't pay the 255 million, you're going to see Moody's and other rating agencies. Fitch has already declared them in default. They call it restricted default, whatever the hell that is. But all the other rating agencies cannot avoid the elephant in the room, which is Evergrande has defaulted on $80 million of its debt, and they have so much more debt to default on. Look at when the bonds are due. For example, here's some bonds of on April 11th. You got almost $3 billion in bonds due. That's the outstanding amount, the face value of those bonds, not just a coupon payment. So over $3 billion is due April 11th. They can't even make an $80 million payment. And what has China said? Don't pay anybody until you finish all your projects. That's completely the opposite of what a court would tell them to do in bankruptcy. So that's where we are. So the big number is let's see. No, that's 23 and 24. It's $1.45 billion on April 11th. $1.45 billion. Again, they can't make an $80 million payment, much less a $1.5 billion on April 11th, because these dates are all screwy. January 30th, there's a $300 million. There's a biggie. So it'll be January 30th is the next one they'll default on. They're going to default tomorrow on $250 million, and then they'll default on January 30th of $300 million. Now, I think, and part of my timeline is Evergrande is the trigger. When the rating agencies declare them in default, they haven't declared bankruptcy, but they're in default. I don't think they ever will declare bankruptcy. And clearly the creditors don't want them to declare anything before the end of the year, because then they'd have to report it on their books. So that's kind of where the trigger is for the quadrillion dollars in derivatives. Remember, you could take this $300 billion that they owe and attach derivatives to it, and you got a monster mess. So keep that in mind. Go to roadtoruder.com, sign up for the private road, and you can get my full timeline right there, the first discussion in the private road. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruder.com. I'll talk to you later.
Well, you start with Bitcoin and you know nothing. You make your first wallet and you think you got something. Secure your private keys and you don't. All your coins will be gone. Now you're a coiner and it's time to learn all. From banking tech to social net, cryptos are hard, but you gotta get your feet wet. You gotta get your mindset for change. And it's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way. The way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. There's Kenny Bozak, he'll show up in your town. Fiat in his pocket, always dressed like a clown, but he pulls out his phone, always pays for what he owes in crypto. Big old John Kim erases all Charlie's doom. Satoshi light is feeling right with John in chat rooms, and he takes care of Litecoin. We know it's the right one for change. It's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way. The way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. Well, let me tell you about my friend. His name is Bitcoin Ben, a truck driving man. Everybody loves him, and he's spreading the word. He shares what he heard, secret plan. And there's Snippy by Joe, can't miss the J-Snip show. From Psychic Best to Treasure Chest, what goes on the know. He teaches his deck, cause he's seen a few wrecks on the slow. It's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way. The way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. Cause everybody wants to be a hero, and everybody has dreams of a better day. But if everybody knew we could change everything that we do, then everybody live a crypto warrior way. And everybody live a crypto warrior way. And you can live a crypto warrior way.
Yeah!
Da, 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 da.
That was great.